You know what's wild? I was looking at Reddit the other day and someone posted their pay stubs. They make $87,000 a year. That's $3,350 every 2 weeks after taxes. Good money, right? But here's what got me. They said they feel like they're making the exact same financial progress they were making when they earned $52,000 3 years ago. Same amount in savings, same credit card balance, same I'll start investing next month energy. And the comments, hundreds of people saying literally me and are you living in my house? Look, if you're sitting here making decent money, but your bank account looks exactly the same as it did 2 years ago, this video is going to make you uncomfortable because the problem isn't your income, and that's what we need to talk about. My name is Rayhan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people who make good money still feel broke. If you're someone who's gotten raises, maybe even doubled your income, but somehow you're not actually wealthier than you were before, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. There's this phenomenon that economists call lifestyle inflation, but I think that term is way too polite for what's actually happening, because inflation sounds like this gradual, natural thing, like, oh, prices went up, my spending went up, what can you do? No. What's actually happening is something way more specific and way more fixable. When most people get a raise, they don't sit down and think, okay, I'm now making an extra $800 a month after taxes. Where should this money go? They don't have that meeting with themselves. Instead, what happens is their lifestyle just expands to meet their income, and it happens so smoothly that they don't even notice it's happening. Let me show you what I mean with actual numbers, because this is where it gets really interesting. Let's say you're making $50,000 a year. After taxes, that's about $3,200 a month, give or take depending on your state. Your apartment is $1,200. You drive a used Honda Civic, payment is $280. You go out maybe once a weekend, you buy decent food but nothing fancy, you've got your subscriptions. Your monthly spending sits around $2,900. You're saving $300 a month. Not great, not terrible. 2 years later, you get promoted. Now you're making $65,000. That's an extra $15,000 a year, or about $900 extra per month after taxes. Congratulations, right? But here's what happens. You don't sit down and allocate that $900. Instead, over the next few months, your life just gets a little nicer. You move to a better apartment. It's only $200 more, and come on, you deserve it. You've been staring at that crack in the ceiling for 2 years. Your car is getting old, and you're tired of the repair anxiety, so you upgrade. The payment is only $170 more per month. Still very reasonable. You start going out twice a weekend instead of once. Maybe you're dating someone, maybe you just feel like you can finally enjoy your city. That's an extra $300 a month. Your grocery bill creeps up because you're buying the organic stuff now, the nice cheese, the good coffee. That's another $100. You add a few more subscriptions. Maybe you finally get that gym membership you've been putting off. Perhaps you upgrade your phone plan, another $80. You know what I'm about to say, right? We're at $850 in new monthly expenses. Your extra income, $900. You're now saving $350 a month instead of $300. You got a 30% raise and your savings went up by 16%. Now, you might be thinking, well, at least they're saving a little bit more. And sure, technically, but here's the problem. This person is now locked into a lifestyle that requires $65,000 to maintain. They have less financial flexibility than they did before. They're on a treadmill that's moving faster, and if anything goes wrong, if they lose this job, if they have an emergency, they're in a worse position than they were at $50,000 because they can't just snap back down. Let me hit you with a statistic that should make you angry. According to a 2023 survey by Paycheck-to-Paycheck research, 78% of Americans making between $50,000 and $100,000 live paycheck to paycheck. That's not people making minimum wage. That's people making more than the median household income. And here's the kicker. When they surveyed people making over $100,000, the number was still 60%. 6 out of 10 people making six figures are living paycheck to paycheck. The problem isn't income. The problem is spending expansion. And before you think, well, maybe it's just that everything is more expensive now, let me show you something else. The Federal Reserve did a study tracking people's savings rates relative to their income over the past 20 years, and they found something shocking. People making $40,000 were saving on average 4.2% of their income. People making $80,000 were saving 3.7%. People making $120,000 were saving 3.9%. Think about that. You would expect that as people make more money after covering their basic needs, the percentage they save would go up dramatically, but it doesn't. It stays almost the same or even decreases. That means every additional dollar you earn is just funding a nicer version of the same life. You're not building wealth, you're building a more expensive lifestyle. So why does this happen? Why do smart people who understand math still make this mistake over and over? Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain is not wired to build wealth. It's wired to establish and maintain status relative to the people around you. And as you make more money, you start hanging out with different people and your reference point shifts. When you were making $50,000, your friends were making similar money. You all went to the same bars, ate at the same restaurants, lived in similar apartments. Your lifestyle felt normal because it matched your peer group. But when you get that raise to $65,000, something subtle happens. Maybe you start going to slightly nicer places. You meet people with slightly more expensive tastes. Suddenly, your old lifestyle doesn't feel like normal middle-class life. It feels like you're being cheap, like you're not living up to your potential. And this is completely unconscious. You're not sitting there thinking, I need to spend more to impress people. You just genuinely feel that the nicer apartment is the correct apartment for someone at your level. The nicer car is just the normal thing to have. You've adjusted your internal baseline. There's actually a term for this in psychology. It's called the hedonic treadmill, and it's one of the most powerful forces working against your wealth building. Here's how it works. When you get something new, a raise, a new car, a bigger apartment, you get a spike of happiness. For like 2 weeks, you feel great. You did it. You're living better. But then, and this is the crucial part, you adapt. That new thing becomes your baseline. It's not special anymore, it's just your life. The happiness boost disappears, but the cost remains. And now you need the next upgrade to get that same feeling. You're chasing the feeling of progress, but you're never actually progressing because you keep resetting your baseline. Look, here's where it gets even interesting. It's not just the big stuff. It's not just the rent and the car payment. There are these invisible monthly drains that most people don't even think about. I want you to do something right now. Pull out your bank statement from last month. I'm serious. If you're really serious about this, pause this video, get your statement, and come back. Okay, now I want you to add up every single subscription you have, and I mean everything. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus, that meditation app you used twice, the gym membership you haven't used in 4 months, iCloud storage, YouTube Premium, that meal kit subscription, all of it. For most people, when they actually do this exercise, they find they're spending between $200 and $400 a month on subscriptions that's auto-renew, stuff you don't even think about. Here's a fun example. I have a friend who's always complaining about not being able to save money. Always. Can't figure out where his money goes. So I sat down with him and we went through his credit card statement. You know what we found? He had 11 streaming services. 11. He was paying for Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Apple TV Plus, Discovery Plus, Crunchyroll, Funimation, and Amazon Prime. I asked him, do you watch all of these? He said, well, there's usually something on one of them. My guy was spending $178 a month so he would never have to think about what to watch. That's $2,136 a year. Over 10 years, if he had invested that money instead at a conservative 7% return, that's $30,784. The difference between making coffee at home and buying it every day is literally $250,000 over your lifetime. Now, I'm not saying never buy coffee. I'm not saying live like a monk. What I'm saying is that most people have no idea that these tiny daily decisions are the difference between retiring early and working until you're 70. Okay, let's talk about the math that actually matters, because here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Small changes in your savings rate create absolutely massive differences in your wealth over time, and I don't think most people understand just how massive. Let me show you 2 scenarios. Both people make $65,000 a year. Person A saves $350 a month. That's what we calculated earlier, the person who got the raise but let their lifestyle expand. Person B saves $850 a month. That's if you took that entire $900 raise and put it towards savings, keeping your lifestyle the same. The difference is $500 a month. That's like two nice dinners out, a car payment. It doesn't feel like a massive lifestyle sacrifice. But watch what happens. After 10 years, person A has saved $42,000 plus investment returns. At a 7% annual return, that's about $61,000. Person B has saved $102,000 plus returns. That's about $148,000. That's an $87,000 difference from $500 a month. After 20 years, person A has $274,000. Person B has $666,000. Person B is almost a millionaire, while person A is still feeling like they can't get ahead. After 30 years, person A has $510,000. Person B has $1,286,000. The $500 a month difference turned into a $776,000 difference over 30 years. And here's what really gets me. Person A is going to spend those 30 years feeling like they're doing okay. They're saving something. They're responsible. But they're going to hit 55 and realize they're nowhere near retirement. They're going to have to work another 10 or 15 years. Person B is going to hit 55 and realize they could retire right now if they wanted to. They could work because they want to, not because they have to. That's the difference we're talking about. That's what's at stake with these decisions that feel small in the moment. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I have student loans, I have rent, I live in an expensive city. This is all well and good for people with no obligations, but I can't just save an extra $500 a month. And look, I get it, I do. But here's what I've noticed. People are really, really good at explaining why they can't save money. They're like poets when it comes to justifying their spending. I live in San Francisco, rent is crazy. I have to look professional for my job. I'm paying off student loans. My car broke down and I needed a reliable one. I'm young, I need to enjoy life. All of these are valid. I'm not saying they're not, but here's the thing. For every person telling me why they can't save money in San Francisco, I know 3 people who are saving money in San Francisco. They have roommates, they live further from downtown, they bike to work, they make trade-offs. Because here's what's really happening. When you say, I can't save money, what you're actually saying is, I'm not willing to make the trade-offs necessary to save money. And that's fine. That's a choice you can make, but you have to own it. You have to say, I am choosing to spend this money on this lifestyle, and I'm accepting the consequences of that choice. What drives me crazy is when people act like they're victims of their financial situation when they're actually architects of it. Let me give you a real example. I knew someone who complained constantly about being broke. Constantly. Couldn't save money, living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt. This person also went to Coachella, spent $1,800 on tickets, travel, and accommodations, posted Instagram stories about how amazing it was. I'm not saying don't go to Coachella. If that's your priority, cool. But you can't go to Coachella and then act confused about why you don't have an emergency fund. You made a choice. You chose Coachella over financial security. That's fine, but own it. All right, so what's the actual solution here? How do you break out of this cycle? Here's what most people don't realize. You can't willpower your way out of this. You can't just say, I'm going to be more disciplined with money and expect anything to change, because your brain doesn't work that way. What you need is a system that makes the right choice automatic. And the system is stupid simple. It's called pay yourself first, and it's the most important financial concept you'll ever learn. Here's how it works. The minute your paycheck hits your account, before you pay rent, before you buy groceries, before you do anything, you automatically transfer a set amount to savings and investment accounts that you don't touch. Not at the end of the month, not when you see what's left over, first, immediately, automatically. Because here's the thing, if you wait to see what's left over at the end of the month, there will never be anything left over. Your spending will always expand to fill whatever's available. That's Parkinson's law applied to money. But if you take the money off the table immediately, your lifestyle will adjust to what's left, and you won't even miss it. Let me give you the actual strategy. Step 1. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings and investment accounts on the same day you get paid, not a day later, the same day. Step 2, start with whatever feels doable. If you're currently saving nothing, start with 10% of your paycheck. If you're already saving something, add 5% more. Step 3, every time you get a raise, increase your automatic transfer by half of the raise. This is the crucial part. This is where you break the cycle. You got a $900 a month raise, increase your automatic savings by $450. Your lifestyle still gets better over time. You're not living like a college student forever, but your wealth grows dramatically faster than your spending. But here's the thing, the mechanics are easy, the mental shift is hard. Because what you're really doing is changing your relationship with money. You're moving from I'll save what's left over to I'll spend what's left over after saving. That's a complete 180 from how most people think. And it requires you to redefine what afford means. Most people think, can I afford this means, is there money in my account? No. Can I afford this should mean, can I buy this while still hitting my savings goals? If the answer is no, you can't afford it, even if the money's there. This is the mental shift that changes everything, because once you start thinking this way, you realize that most of the things you're buying, you actually can't afford. You're just buying them anyway and hoping it works out. And I know this is uncomfortable. I know it feels restrictive, but here's what's actually restrictive. Being 50 years old and realizing you have to work for another 20 years because you never built wealth. That's restrictive. Having to say yes to every job, every boss, every situation because you need the money, that's restrictive. Saving money aggressively in your 20s and 30s, that's not restrictive. That's buying freedom. Look, I want to be real with you for a second. This is hard. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's easy to save money while everyone around you is spending it. Your friends are going to go to expensive dinners, and you're going to have to say no sometimes. Your coworkers are going to drive nice cars, and you're going to have to be okay with your older, paid-off car. People on Instagram are going to post their vacations, and you're going to have to be comfortable with the fact that your life looks different. This is the price, and I'm not going to lie to you and say the price is zero. But here's what I want you to understand. Those people going to expensive dinners, most of them are stressed about money. Those people driving nice cars, most of them are one emergency away from financial disaster. Those people posting vacations, a lot of them are funding it with credit cards. The Instagram version of people's lives and the reality are two completely different things. And when you're 45 and you realize you could retire in 5 years if you wanted to, or you could start a business without worrying about the paycheck, or you could take a year off to travel, or you could help your kids without it destroying your finances, that's when you realize the sacrifice was worth it. All right, so here's what you're actually going to do. Not what you should do, not what would be nice to do, what you're actually going to do this week if you're serious about this. Step 1, calculate your current savings rate. Take your monthly savings divided by your monthly after-tax income. That's your percentage. If it's under 15%, you have work to do. Step 2, go through your bank statement and add up every subscription and recurring charge. Cancel everything you don't use weekly. Not monthly, weekly. If you're not using it every week, you don't need it. Step 3, set up automatic transfers to a savings account and an investment account. Make them happen the day your paycheck hits. Start with 10% if you're new to this, 15% if you're already saving something. Step 4, open a retirement account if you don't have one. If your employer offers a 401k match, contribute at least enough to get the full match. That's literally free money. Step 5, every time you get a raise or a bonus, immediately increase your automatic savings by at least 50% of that increase. This is non-negotiable. This is how you break the cycle. Here's the thing. You're going to wake up 10 years from now no matter what you do today. The question is whether you're going to wake up wealthier or just older. Most people choose older. They spend the next 10 years making incremental lifestyle improvements, enjoying life day to day, and then they look at their bank account and realize nothing's changed. They're just a more expensive version of who they were. But you have the option right now, today, to make a different choice, to be the person who actually builds wealth instead of just earning money. And look, I'm not going to tell you it's going to feel good all the time. There are going to be moments where you feel like you're missing out, where you see other people doing things you can't do right now. But I promise you this, the feeling of seeing your net worth grow every month, of knowing you're building something real, of realizing you're buying your freedom $1 at a time, that feeling is better than any dinner, any car, any vacation you're giving up. You got two paychecks. The question is whether you're going to use them to fund a lifestyle or build a life. If this helped you out, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment and let me know what your savings rate is right now and what you're going to change this week. And I'll see you in the next one.